Hello, wonderful readers. Today is August 23rd, and I have finished reading Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. It is book 1 in the Infernal Devices series, which is the prequel, the 1870s version of the Mortal Instruments books. So, I was really excited to read this book because I love the Mortal Instruments and I really enjoy the way Cassandra writes. Everything I've read up to, well, even including this book, had been really hilarious. I was laughing out loud at many points in the book. So I was excited to read this book and kind of disappointed when well, not when I started. We start with this girl, Tessa Gray. Her parents have died, her aunt has died, who was looking after her, and her brother Nathan had gone over to England. So she was left alone with no money in New York. And she had to do something, so her brother sent her a ticket to go over to England. So she goes, and she gets to the dock, and he is not there. And these ladies named the Dark Sisters are there, and they say, okay, you're here, he's not here to pick you up, we will take you, we will take care of you. And get back to their house, and lo and behold, he's not there. And they threaten her with his death, and she has to learn how to use the power that she didn't know she had. So it's really interesting to see how that happens, but then, and I was really enthralled because it was mysterious and it was really exciting, and then we get to the end of her time with them and she's about to be married to this guy named the Magister, who we don't really know who that is. So she's about to be married, doesn't want to, wants to run away, can't get out, and all of a sudden this guy named Will comes in and saves the day, gets her out of there. He's a teenager just like she is, and she gets pulled out of the horrible, horrible hole that is the sister's house and taken to the Institute, which I was expecting that it was going to be a lot of explanatory because it's a girl who doesn't know anything about the shadow world, Clary, and there's this guy who rescued her, Jace, and they all come to the Institute where she starts to learn about what's going on. So in that way, it's a really good device, but it's really formulaic, and I despise formulas. I'm sorry, Charles Dickens, but all of your books are about the same thing. So anyway, we get into the Institute, and she's visiting with all these people, and we have the same characters almost, because we've got Jem, who's a lot like Alex, and we have Jessamine, who's a lot like Isabel, in their characteristics and the way they conduct themselves. So I was really irritated because it seemed like we had a lot of the same characters to start with, but my hope and my expectation is that in the rest of the series, since their situations are all a little bit different, I hope they grow differently, and I hope they develop into different characters along the way. That's kind of what I'm seeing is going to be the issue. And then as far as the plotline goes, I really enjoyed being in 1870s London, because of course you get all the fanciful things of 1870s London, but I was a little bit irritated with the evil guy is building stuff, and these things that he's building are really complicated, and they're supposed to help take down the Institute and the Shadow Hunters in general. Which, okay, fine, you build stuff to take it down, except it's 1870s London, and building things as complicated as they are takes a long, long time. So for me, I had a hard time suspending my disbelief to think that he could build them fast enough to do what he was doing. So I had issues with that, but if you don't know how clocks are built, and you don't realize it takes 6 months to build a basic clock, maybe you'll buy it a little bit more easily than I did. But I think my favorite part was seeing Magnus and Camille. They pop up and we get to see more of what they were like in London. That was probably my favorite part. And I like the theme that's developing of women being in power. Because obviously in 1870s London, women just didn't have a lot of anything. They were just kind of owned by men. So I'm really hoping that between Jess's character And Tessa's character in Charlotte, she's a director basically, that we get to see the growth of women and get to see some of those things, which I'm always for women being in power. So I really look forward to the rest of the series, and in spite of all of my irritations with this book, I really expect the rest of the series to get better, and I recommend it as the starting point for even better things to come. So if you have any suggestions for other things that are good to read, put them down below in the comments. I will be doing an Amazon order, so if you have any cheap, particularly Amazon books, let me know. And I'm not sure what I'm going to be reading next, so I will be really reading those comments. Have a great day and keep reading.